In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a pair of straight-leg jeans and turn them into a pair of flared jeans using this as my inspiration. I think these are upholstery fabric samples, but I'm not sure. I thought they would work nicely for this project because of the embroidery. If you can't find upholstery fabric, you could use any kind of fabric you like: denim, velvet, patchwork, even lace, depending on the look you want. I made two versions of this insert. The first was really wide, so I made a less flared version, but I'm including them both so you can decide which one you like better. So let's get started. Mark the pants at the knee where the leg hinges. In the wider version, I made the mark just above the knee, and for the narrower version, just below. Transfer the mark to the other leg. Seam rip the sides up to the mark and open the hem as well. For the panel length, measure the distance from your mark to the hem and then add an inch for seam allowance. Decide how wide you want the panels to be and add an inch for seam allowance. For reference, the measurements for my panels were 19 inches long by 9 inches wide for the flared version, and 22 inches long and 13 inches wide for the wider version, including seam allowance. Once you have an idea of the size of your panels, you can quilt the sections together if you're going for that look. If you're not quilting separate pieces together, you can skip this step. To piece the sections of the panel together, join them with a straight stitch with the right sides facing. Then finish the raw edge with a zigzag stitch. I then pressed the seam to one side and top stitched it. This step isn't absolutely necessary, but it keeps the fabric flat. I later added a backing, so I could have sewn the seams to the backing, which I actually recommend, but I didn't know that I was going to use a backing, so I top stitched it instead. This way I make the mistakes so that you don't have to. Once you have enough quilted fabric for the inserts, mark the triangles according to your measurements and then cut them out. Use the first insert as a pattern for the second one. In the second version, I made a backing from a medium weight twill fabric to stabilize the panel, which I'd recommend if you're using a light or medium weight fabric. A good rule of thumb is you want the weight of the finished panel to be similar to the weight of your jeans. If you're using a backing panel, cut it first and use it as a pattern for the quilted sections to cut them out. Sew the quilted sections to the panel around the edges and anywhere else you think it needs to be attached. I made an additional seam down the center of the insert. You can skip this step if you have a continuous piece of fabric. To attach the panels to the pants, I'm lining up the hems, but you can adjust your insert however you like. And pin into place. I'm also going to sew on the denim side because I want to sew in the original stitch holes as much as possible to keep the distressed look of the seam. Sew each side of the panel separately and back tack at the beginning and end of the seam. Once you have the panel how you want it, close up the gap in the pants above the panel. The two seams of my jeans got misaligned, so I seam ripped a longer section of the side seam until I could get the two sides to line up without puckering, then sewed them down to where the panel started. Once everything is sewn up properly, finish the sides of the jeans and the panels with a zigzag stitch. I also like to top stitch a row of stitches on the right side of the jeans to keep the seam flat, but this is optional. It can be a little tricky to get at, but should work if you remove the table extension from your sewing machine. Finally, add a row of zigzag stitches around the bottom to prevent the hem from fraying, or if you prefer, you can hem the jeans. And that's it, we're done. And here's the result. I hope it wasn't too confusing with the two versions, but these refashioning projects are always experiments, and I don't always know how they'll turn out. But ideally, the two versions will help you decide what kind of look you prefer and will inspire you to try your own refashioning project. Thanks for watching, and happy upcycling!